Alright, what's going on YouTube? Part 2, door skin installation. As you can see, it's hung, it's on, it fits, it's much better. It ain't perfect just yet. We still got more work to do on it. So let's just roll into the time lapse and some of the other footage that I recorded putting the door skin on. So those of you that are interested in actually knowing how to skin a door, you know how to do it. For everybody else, hey, it's on. Let's hit that footage. A little bit of rot in the corner of the door. I kind of knew it was there. It was a little spongy, but I didn't know how bad it was until I hit it with a wire wheel. You can see my beard through it, right? So as soon as I hit it with that wire wheel, it just removed whatever was, dirt, dust, 50 years of shit, some rust, and epoxy primer, and all out of the good crap that was holding it together. So while I'm in there, I might as well replace it. This is 20 gauge steel. What's left of my scrap pile of 20 gauge steel. So I gotta try and cut a path. So just the rough cut for this. I need to now make sure I get the corner straight because I wasn't using a square corner. And then now I need to bend that, and it's a mixture of stretching and shrinking, which you can't do with a like my metal shrinker and stretchers. It's got to be done with a hammer and a bag, because that's the old school way of shrinking metal. It was just hammering it onto itself. They didn't do a very good job of metal finishing it back in those days. Alright, actually show this to you instead of just doing it on a time lapse. Time lapse was hilarious if you heard all the shit that was going on coming out of my mouth. Alright, so I had the front just barely folded over, just kind of hold it in place as I adjusted it. Same with this rear back here, right? I just wanted to kind of hold it in the proper spot. And then I folded the bottom edge because that's going to bring it to the right height, right? And I just checked it. Front's a little higher than it was before. I'm going to have to look at it. But I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to show you how to fold the edge and what I've been doing on the time lapse. So this is a toe dolly, right? Meant for door skins. Really sucks because you want to hold it like this, except the flat edge is on the bottom where you want to slap it on the door, so I'm always smacking my hands or dropping the dolly on me, but it's nice everywhere else. So I'm going to start on this bottom edge and just start folding it over. And again, you see I've got the flat edge square with the door, at least I try to keep it that way. And then you just you start folding it over. And it takes a lot of hammer strikes because you're not just trying to whack it face down like this yet. You want to hit it this way so that it catches the frame of the door and it creates a square edge. All right. Then when it starts to kind of fold a little bit, then you change your angle. All right, you might have to switch to the angled side of your door skin hammer so that it starts folding over. You want that to be as tight to the door frame as possible, because you're going to seam seal this later and you don't want any moisture getting in there. You don't have to put excessive seam sealer in there where once it starts drying and dry rotting, it starts shrinking down and forming cracks. So you want to get it as tight as possible. So you should always be looking for that hammer on dolly sound, and you want it to squish. Hear that really high ringing? Make sure I don't have any background music playing. Now, on the corners, I'm gonna have to take a air saw and just slice the corners because you don't want them overlapping each other, right? You actually want to trim it all the way back almost to the outer edge of the door frame, because otherwise it kind of folds over itself and it doesn't form right. So I probably should have done that before I hammered it, but oh well, I'm a dumbass and I like doing things the hard way. So we're just going to continue doing this all the way up the door. You also don't want to just pound it all the way flat in one section. You want to work it so that it's folded over and then start creeping up on it in each little section. When you have like style lines, you want to go all the way up to the style line and then start afterwards, right? Because you don't want to fold over and cause a ripple on the actual outside style line of the body, right? Get comfortable holding that dolly. This thing's 2 pounds, so it doesn't sound like a lot, but trying to hold it in specific spots up against, like holding it up when you're laying on your back sucks. But if you don't have contact with the door, you're just wasting energy. Energy is going into the rest of the door. It's just distributing away from where your impact strike is. Plus, you run the risk of putting ripples in the skin and not causing it to fold over. So if your arm gets tired, whether it's your hammer, swinging hammer, or holding your dolly, stop. Because if you're not holding it right, you're gonna fucking fuck it up. You think swinging a hammer wears your arm out? No, it's holding freaking dolly. Another hammer. Want it tight to the frame all the way around. Let's be ultra careful. Ah, careful with your thumbs too. Ah, Jesus Christ. Chisel edge. Look at it. Much better. Alright, now that you were bored to death of watching me freaking strike a hammer to a dolly 50 million freaking times, what's left to do on the door? Alright, so it is installed, it is hung, it's not going to go anywhere, but I do have to take the door off because this lip here, I cannot get a hammer in there to drive it flat. But it is hung, the door skin does not move on the frame, it's not going anywhere. So I do have to pull that. While I'm at it, I'm going to weld up the top seam up against the door frame just so it is a clear, smooth transition. And then I'm going to seam seal the rest of the door, which if you guys want, I'll probably record a quick little video on how to seam seal. A couple little tricks that I've learned from doing it over the years. To do this whole process, I used a myriad of other hammers. Most of these are from Harbor Freight. At least that's what these two are. That might have been from Harbor Freight, but I don't think so. I don't remember. I know I bought it. I know I showed it in previous videos. But this is an actual door skinning hammer, right? These hammers are great for getting into tight spaces if you want to use the chisel or the pointed edge. You cannot really use the hammer, the square or the rounded face. The reason why this is a door skin hammer is because of this, I don't know, it's like 30-degree bend, so it allows you to get in to specific areas, as well as it's got this very smooth, flat face. It's very thin, right? Very thin profile. And then a door skin dolly, right? You can use other dollies as well, but this is the one that is really, all the different corners and shapes that are on are really meant for doing door skins, right? Nice, good quality dolly that's pretty freaking heavy. Okay, let's show you the finished result though, so you understand how good it is and some of the imperfections. So drop you down a little bit so you can get a better view. So up front here, I haven't finished folding over the edge, but you can kind of see this. 3/16. Bigger gap here than everywhere else, and it's got it dives in right there for some reason. Again, I can fix it. What I'll probably do is take a spoon, which is just a flat dolly, stick it in there, pull it back, right? There's enough meat here, and with the door frame being the way it is, it doesn't. You guys can see it here, actually. See this line? Can you see that? This line that goes along the outer edge, that's from the dolly strike being held up against the door, and that's where the door frame really is, right? So there's still extra skin. That's the thickness of the skin, and fold it over, right? So there's plenty of room to pull that back out a little bit. And, you know, I can either load the bottom of the rocker on the inside up with some filler. It's really not that much. You know, it's not that much. I can weld along the rocker itself, build it up with some metal, just, you know, lay some beads on it and grind it smooth. All sorts of different ways you can do that. Come along to this side. What I still have to do on the very bottom here, you see it gets tight right there at that very corner. I don't know if you can see there or not, the height of the stand. So on the inside edge of these doors, both in the front and the back. See how it's folded over? Right, so it's adding a little extra right here. I'm just going to grind that off, right? And then the seam sealer will cover it. And then I'm going to slice. It's kind of hard to do that with my finger in the way. Slice a pie right there, right? So that the two pieces of the overlap fit flush to the frame. So I got to do that up front. I got to do that on the back. And then we're going to lay seam sealer nice and smooth all the way up along this door edge, right? And then with the door off, I'll probably be able to get some of these little wrinkles out and get a better contact patch. So along with that, with seam sealer, edge up. Same here. All right, this is that lip that we were talking about. It's now on the back of the door and the front of the door. That needs to be seam sealed up because when rain hits here, right, there's only window felts that attach to the inside of this. So all that water comes inside here. We don't want it coming through this section here, right? We don't want it traveling down the door and catching it into all this. So we're going to seam seal all of this up. All right. Then I need to do some tweaks and adjustments to the gap. It's not as uniform as it was. It is still really good, but it's not perfect. So I now need to tweak the gap here because it's super tight up top, right here, all right? And it gets a little thick right here. That's it. So I gotta fine tune this gap again. No big deal. I've done it I don't know 3 or 4 times already on this car. And then I now need to block from here to here. And this is the best, longest straight edge I've got. It's just a long ruler. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for government work per se, right? And I need to add a little filler right in here, right? Just a little bit. I can just barely see daylight through there. Down below, it's a little worse. So again, right in here, right? And this was that area that I was heat shrinking with a shrinking disc. So I might have over shrunk it so much and made the panel almost flat. So again, that's why you body work from one door or one panel to the next, is so hey, am I square, right? If I do this along a longer edge, it meets up here. It's just, there's a little bit of sunlight, right? All the way through here. Body line is kind of good, kind of not. Still need to do some tweaks there, but again, this door now fits beautifully in the opening. Just minor tweaks that I have to do now. So that's where we're at, guys. Nice and smooth, nice and easy. Not. I still also need to hang the front fender and see how bad everything is compared to the front of the door. So I can't call it quits yet. The door's hung, and I fixed the problem with the bottom of the door being all out of whack. This is what we do to chase that 1/4 inch. It's what needs to be done sometimes, especially if you want a quality job. So, questions, comments, drop them below. Hit the like, subscribe if you would. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.